Thank you for joining us on the Dream Warrior Review, episode 15. I'm Kurt Thomas.
I'm Mick Strawn.
So we watched this Australian movie, and it was called Killing Ground. And it was basically, in a nutshell, it was about a couple that goes on a camping trip. They discover something horrible. Basically, an empty tent, a bloody toddler, and all kinds of craziness happens through this movie, but I'll let Mick take over from here.
Well, at this point, let me just say that this film has taught me something.
Uh-oh.
There's a type of horror film that I like a lot.
Yep.
And a type of horror film that I don't.
I'm right there with you.
This is a pretty good example of the one that I don't like. This is just brutality.
I saw on the web. I'm not gonna. I stole this phrase, so
okay, go for it.
It's from somebody else. Torture porn.
Yeah, this was absolutely torture porn, and the killing ground itself, the area, the shots, the way they lined it all up. Oh my God!
But wasn't it beautiful though, the place they were in?
Well,
I mean, it was in a beautiful place, and they shot it but it was very.
This film was
creepy.
Shot like it was a low-budget film.
Yes.
The script was written perfectly for doing a low-budget film. I mean, they were outside in the whole thing.
Kind of like Blair Witch a little bit.
Yeah, they didn't even get themselves caught in the tent.
Right.
Which was just perfect. I mean, they kind of...
there's only like 2 tent scenes maybe.
Yeah, and for the most part, you just saw them look into the tent and then look out of it.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, they did pull one shot off that just raised the hair on the back of my neck. I mean, it was scary. The shot with the kid, the first time we see the kid.
Yeah.
Ooh.
He was behind them.
Yeah. You know what? That's the only shot in the
that
whole
got me
film.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. The rest of the film I could care less
Well,
about.
also, the kid actually affected me more because I think as a recent parent, it kind of hit me harder, I think, a little bit.
Well, let me tell you, as an old parent, it hit me. I swear, it was one of those where you were rooting for the kid to make a sound or her to just accidentally turn around or anything like that. I mean, I was stunned and amazed. It reminded me a lot of a shot from Exorcist 3.
Oh, wow. That was a winner.
Yeah. No.
But yeah.
Well, you know what? I tell you, Exorcist 3 did have some really good effects sequences. It really did. It had some great scares in it.
I think I blew through that one. I don't really remember much about it. I watched it on VHS a long time ago.
Yeah, well worth it. It was actually directed by the writer.
Oh, it was. Oh, yeah. So that scene with the baby coming up behind. Do you think they planned the tripping? Do you think they put traps in front of him so he'd fall? Because that was what got me more, was the fact that the kid was falling. He kept falling. Maybe that was just a happy accident. I don't know. And then, did you know that toddlers can cry in an accent? It sounded very Australian. I don't really know how to say that, but it was like,
I was so shocked watching that film. Yeah, I was so going. The ick factor was so strong in that film. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice that.
I do not like this. I've watched 3 of them now, but I don't like the Human Centipede movies for the same reason. It's very gory. It's all about the gore. Yeah, and I almost don't like Jigsaw and the Saw movies for the same reason.
Well, you know what? The thing is that the first Jigsaw, I liked it because the setups were amazing. I mean, the setups.
Oh, I loved the first Saw.
Just
because it was so different at that time.
It was.
That's why I liked it.
It was different, but the thing is and I've been thinking about this since we did the review of the most recent Jigsaw compared to the original, and I think that there was a much more sophisticated edge to why somebody was there and what they had to do.
Right.
You know, I mean, you're going to have to saw your leg off. There was a more sophisticated edge to it.
You had to make a sacrifice to get out of the problem you were having.
Right,
the
exactly.
Situation.
You know, and on
this movie didn't really have much point.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot.
It was torture with no point.
Yeah,
that's the way I saw it.
Well, that's exactly that's what was going on.
But was it really that terrible? I mean, okay, I couldn't really find.
No, it was well done.
But it won. I think it won awards, and I was trying to look online, and I couldn't figure out what awards it won. But it was nominated for some awards, and it was the directorial debut of what's his name, David something. I can't remember his name. I'll cut that in later. Damien Power. His debut, and I thought as a whole it wasn't a terrible movie.
No, I thought it was pretty good. I just didn't like it. I mean, there were things going on that I really didn't want to see.
It was almost too predictable because you had the guy with the beard and you had his friend. They showed up and you immediately knew
Oh yeah.
These guys are bad.
It had to be those two.
It had to be those guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I guess they kind of worked that into the movie early on with the police talking about them. Like they knew they were up to something, but couldn't prove it, I guess.
I want to know if the pig was a SAG pig. I want to know if he was SAG because he had a speaking role.
He did.
He did. He had a speaking role, and he seemed fairly well trained for what he had to do.
Well, the dog had to speak too, so.
Yeah, but the pig was a pig.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I guess these guys weren't worried about fingerprints, evidently.
To sum it up, for me, I went in with really low expectations because I saw it as a Netflix movie that was Australian. I haven't seen many Australian movies, but I knew that it was on Sundance, so I thought it was low budget. Right. It was independent. Yeah. So I had all those thoughts in my head, so I had low expectations.
Right.
So I actually kind of enjoyed it after it picked up because the first 20 minutes or so was really slow. And
it was slow to get going.
I almost wanted to turn it off, but I stuck with it. Like, no. And then that scene was amazing. You said where the kid was coming up.
The one with the baby, absolutely. And the thing is that is the first scene in it that anything is happening at all. And just the baby kind of wandering around in the background
crying
with her
with that
walking
horrible look on his face.
And
how'd they get him to cry? Did they take away his candy? And he was like,
No, I think that we were far enough away from him that they just put the crying into the soundtrack.
No, I'm talking about where they showed his face and he was walking and he was crying.
Oh, just pinch him. Yeah.
But so overall, I didn't like the way that it portrayed men. It's a very not that I have a problem with this.
Yeah, but you had a real coward of
the
a man
woman was a badass.
Yeah, the woman was a badass and the guy was a coward.
The guy, the boyfriend was a coward.
He was a pussy.
And it's so basically all the men in there were terrible because you had these two rapists. And then you had this pussy for a boyfriend who didn't want to stand up for her. He ran. Well, I think he was going to run away at one point, but I think he went to the police station.
Once again, you had good. Yeah, right. He went to the.
It looked like he was going to run away.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to run away, but actually he did. He just went to the police station.
But
he didn't hang with her. But she thought that he had taken the baby, right?
Right.
Which gives you that dramatic dun 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 at the end.
Yeah, like she thought he was a hero.
Yeah, not much.
So then, what happened to the baby? Not that we're
That's a good question. That's a good question.
You think the dog
probably still
him?
hanging with the dog?
I think the dog might have dragged him down to the parking lot. Maybe not. Maybe just ate him.
Yeah, probably.
Not to be too dark.
Just food, yeah.
So anyway, I mean, overall, what do you think?
You know what? Overall, I thought it was a really good film. My thing is I realized that just like you said, small films can be terrible. I mean, they can be really terrible. But it was paced perfectly. I think it totally did what it wanted to. I wanted to see something else by this director.
I would have liked more music, different music, because that sounded like American Civil War, like documentary music.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but what he did visually with nothing, and
I think he could turn into a good director.
I think he's going to be a good director. I really do. Like hanging it on that one shot of the baby.
Have you seen many Australian movies? Because
I've seen some good ones.
Are they generally paced like that? Because I haven't seen a lot of them.
Yes.
I think the only one I can think of is that one with the drag queens.
They tend to pace pretty fast.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit faster than American films.
Wow, I might like
way
that.
faster than British.
So this was slow for an Australian film. I mean,
but once it got
first 30 minutes or so.
Once it got going, yeah.
And the acting was. I think the acting was good.
The acting was good.
Yeah. I think that's what carried it actually, because the plot was pretty weak.
The sheriff wasn't very.
Don't you think the plot as a whole was pretty weak, and the acting and the shots kind of?
Well, it was. I have to say this, the plot, it was kind of exactly what you thought it was going to be.
Yep.
There was no twist to it that was going to turn you around.
Not really.
Was exactly it. It was where you thought it was going to go.
Except for I guess the baby is a twist.
Twist.
There's probably something after the credits. I totally missed it.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
They probably show the baby as an older adult. Maybe it's going to be a part 2.
That's coming. Yes. I
don't know. So anyway,
it's going to be Mel Gibson.
On a slasher scale. I mean, wait, no. Whatever. I was trying to call back an episode that we were on that hasn't come out yet.
4 claws.
I would say Freddy Fingers out of 5. I would say probably 3, 2.5, 3. I give it
3. Yeah. I'm gonna give it a strong 3 fingers.
I'd say 2.5, but with that shot with the baby behind her,
with 1 6-finger shot,
I'd give it
I'd give it 3 fingers with a 6-finger shot.
I think we're done with this one.
I think I.
I don't think I have anything
Is
else
that
to
all
say.
it takes?
I don't have
Is
anything
that
else
all
to
it
say.
takes?
I had a creepy beard guy. I don't know why I wrote that down.
I don't know. Why did I write? Let's both take a look at some of the things that we wrote.
I wrote down the knife will be important at some point.
Oh, I wrote this down. It's not French, but it's got bubbles.
That's probably the best quote.
That probably is. Let's see. What else? A dog, finger. Yeah,
this is a big one that I
Sack
wrote.
pig. That was good.
I wrote this down. This is big, but I don't know how they got away with this, but so the guy, he was a dumbass. The guy was like, it was toward the end, and he was gonna make her get her boyfriend to drive the car so they can get out.
Right.
And she says, "I have to help him. He's bleeding to death." And he's like, "Well, you better make it quick." I'm like, "Wouldn't you just shoot him?"
Yeah. What does it matter? You're the one that shot him.
You would just shoot the boyfriend and make her drive you out.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like yeah. Anyway, that was one of my problems I had with it.
Oh, by the way, this is a Christmas film. Did you notice that?
I wrote
Christmas
Big Pussy. Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it said Christmas was 4 days ago.
That's right.
Yeah. So this was one day before the New Year.
So it was really a New Year's film. Because they showed him counting down the New Year.
That's right. They were counting down the New Year.
I wrote down Big Pussy. I think I was talking about the boyfriend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. And I used to have a cat named Ollie, but that's probably not related.
I have to say, in the killing ground itself, where the daughter was laying over there, through all of it, oh man,
that was awful.
That was just.
I did write down basically it should have been my just review. I should have just said this: very simple, pointless, just torture porn.
Torture porn.
So anyway, tell me a story.
Story time.
Story time with Mick.
Story time with Mick.
Story time with Mick.
Story time with Mick.
Story time with Mick. Story time with Mick. Story time with Mick.
Back in the 60s, I was working in a film in a studio. Not in the 60s, in the 70s. Before I started working in Hollywood, I did a lot of sound stuff, and I did a lot of bass playing, for local bands and stuff. And I was in a studio one time, and it's a country area, San Bernardino.
Oh,
yeah, the country,
Gotcha.
And we were in kind of a country music studio, and we were recording some rock thing or something. And I reached over and I grabbed what I thought was a can of Coke and just tilted it back because I was thirsty, and it was like in between takes.
Oh no!
And so I rushed into the studio, grabbed the.
Don't tell me what it was. I think I know what it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've done that before.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and the weird thing about a spit can is it's actually like a creature.
Yeah.
It's like because once it starts pouring out of there, it just all goes. Ugh. Oh, that was unbelievable. It was bad. Then I turned around and I had to point the other way when I threw up so I didn't throw up on the board. I was working on Tales from the Darkside, and it was a very, very low rent place down in East LA. In fact, it was right up the street from Farmer John's.
Oh, really?
And the thing is, we used to have Pig Death Thursdays, because on Pig Death Thursdays they would slaughter the pigs, and the sound and smell that would come wafting up the street was just horrendous.
Could you hear the pig squealing?
Oh yeah, you could hear them. You could hear them squealing, and oh man, that place was the worst on Thursdays.
Yeah. I had a friend that told me he used to work at a slaughterhouse, and he couldn't eat pork
I
because
can
he could hear the
that.
pig squealing in his head.
So anyway, we're working in this weird little place doing Tales from the Darkside, and I was the construction coordinator or assistant art director or something like that, and we were sitting in this guy TJ, what was his name? TJ Miller, I think. He was Squiggy.
Oh, okay.
In the Batman series.
Oh, in the Batman series.
Yeah.
I was thinking Squiggy from the other show.
Well, he was also
Laverne and Shirley.
No. He was the I'm thinking of the Penguin's assistants. Penguin had 3 assistants, and he was one of them. But he was also the bartender. I can't think of the name of it. Anyway. So the thing is all these Italian guys, and they were, that are like, they all thought that they were in the mob from back east and had all run to the West Coast, and so they're working on this show, and nobody knew anything on that show. It was the first major kind of show that I had ever worked on, and I knew more about it than any of them in that building. And so we're sitting one day in the middle of a production meeting, and somehow or other I started to cough, and I'm coughing, and the guy that was sitting next to me grabbed TJ's glass of water, iced water, and handed it to me. And it was vodka, and I just like,
Wow.
man, I just flattened my butt. I'm telling you, I was just spitting it out, and just good time had by all.
Awesome. So he was a generally happy guy because he had a happy juice with him?
Yeah. He was a old style actor.
So Tales from the Darkside, see, that was one of my favorite series when it was on.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I watched it like every week I watched it. But so one question I had for you was like, was it weird working with like I know it had like a lot of older actors that were big back in the day,
right? Like Phyllis Diller, and
that must be really interesting.
Yeah, Phyllis Diller she was game for anything.
But did you ever run into like the old actress or actor that was very picky, I guess, or bitchy, I guess is a better word.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying
to my gosh. Yeah, eyeline monsters.
Yes.
Yeah, one of
you told me about that.
I was telling you about the eyeline monster.
Right.
I couldn't
Christian Bale. We're talking about Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale, but our version of it, she was one of the old, I can't remember her name. She was one of the old surfer.
Oh, you told me. Was that the one that oh god, this is one that she was a singer too.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I'm blanking on her name now.
Exactly. So am I.
Yeah.
But she was an eyeline monster. Oh my god. I'm telling you something, she would just rip. And the thing about eyeline monsters is by the time you got into that point to where you don't want anybody at all to see you act and you're in front of a camera, that's just an excuse for if you don't get the take right, you're gonna find somebody and you're gonna rip them apart. I mean, they're just gonna be fodder.
Right.
And that's exactly what she was like. Oh god. Ugh.
I want to say actually there was an episode in Tales from the Darkside, if I remember correctly. I don't remember, but I think there was an episode with an older actress that had been past her prime and she was trying to get the spotlight again.
That was the one.
Was that it?
That was it. Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Oh,
maybe that's why it popped into my head.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that she was the character she was playing in that.
Wow. Just now we gotta figure out her name.
Oh, it was totally meta. I remember I got another great little story aside from that was on that same show. What was I can't think of the name of the show. Well, you
got me.
Oh, you know what? Can you add this in later?
Look, I knew you were talking about the episode on Tales from the Darkside with the lady.
Okay, that was pretty incredible. That was super weird. But we can add the name of the show in right here.
Right. Oh, I think I know what show that is. That's a popular show at the time.
That's the show. Anyway, when she came over, this was the daughter that was in that show.
Beep boop.
Oh, okay.
I got it. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Beep boop.
Actually did one of the Tales from the Darksides, and she
bing bong
was on a show, and his sister
on the show was
beep boop.
There was a party that was held there now in this building. Everybody that was working there for the most part were alcoholics, and a lot of them lived in like halfway houses. I mean, it's just kind of like the old failed actors home. Right. is actually an AA meeting.
Yeah.
An AA halfway house. Yeah. Right. It was the same place. And a lot of these people were actually working, in this show because they were all friends of TJ Castronova. So anyway, not to name names, but
beep boop.
They all pitched in their pennies and they bought an 8-ball.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. See what I'm saying?
Wow.
Might have been and so at the party they thought that they were going to be really they were going to be super generous, and they made out, and I heard this the next day because I'd never stuck around for anything down there because I drove home, right? I had
you're the smart one.
I had a long way to go home. I was the boss. So anyway, this was we were halfway done, and we were throwing a party for being halfway done. And so they all get together.
They have parties for that?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oh, well, when you
I've heard of a party, a rap party.
You have to understand, when you're doing episodic,
oh, okay.
Episodic is tough.
You celebrate every milestone when you're doing episodics.
God.
Okay, that makes sense to me now.
Yeah, because, it's like the editors. You never saw the editors at all. I don't think they ever left the building, There would be Chinese food containers outside of the door every once in a while. That was the only way you knew they were alive.
Well, that pretty much describes editing, yeah.
So they're all at the party, and the next day they come in and everybody is super pissed. And I guess they went and carefully lighted out all their little tiny lines, and and got it and started to pass the glass around. When it hit beep boop, she just took and cleaned it out.
Oh wow. Wow.
Half of those little lines for one nostril and half of the little lines for the other. And boy, it was the most dejected, horrible day ever. Yeah.
Wow.
Good time had by all.
Did she show up to work?
She wasn't even working.
Oh, that's right.
She was.
Because she'd already finished her episode.
She had finished her episode. And
got it.
It was just she was hanging out with the sound man.
Wow.
I think
so that was the 80s. That was kind of was that pretty common back then? I mean, probably not as common now. It's under the radar now, I would imagine. It's not like open.
You know what? That and rap beer were incredibly common. In fact, we were in an old little industrial building, and in this building it had that circular urinal for the men. The circular marble like urinal.
It looks like a sink, but it's really a urinal.
Yeah, except for it's urinal, and you can stand and take it from any direction, which I always thought was really weird, because the next thing you know is you're looking straight across this thing at the guy that's on the other side is pissing in. I mean, how is it really? That's just not good.
I just focus on the drain.
Right.
And just ignore the streams coming from other directions.
That's exactly must be what it is. Anyway, the thing is that whole bathroom, I mean, you know what size it'd have to be in order to facilitate that thing. They would come in and they would drop Stroh's beer off every week. every Thursday, the Stroh's truck would come down and they would fill that room literally to the point to where you opened the door and all you saw was Stroh's on a Friday morning.
Wow.
And it would be empty by Wednesday.
It sounds like my kind of job, because I'm a beer drinker, but I don't know about Stroh's, but yeah, if somebody brought some IPA every Friday to me, I'd be really happy.
Well, yeah, it wasn't, it's like, but it was like calling a band free beer. Everybody's going to show up, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was, Tales from the Darkside was an interesting place.
Wow. I got to say, speaking of
Beep boop.
her brother is awesome.
Yeah, her brother's really cool.
Yeah.
Has she?
Not that she's bad, but
Has she done anything in the?
Not that I've been on I haven't really noticed her in anything.
Yeah, it hasn't been on my radar since she got off that show.
But is in that went off the air for a while and came back on Netflix. What was it called?
Another popular show.
I always get him confused with the guy from
A popular movie.
They're similar, but anyway.
Yeah.
But I like how he acts. He was on a very popular show at the time too. I remember I watched that show.
You did?
Not to go back too far.
So you're the one.
I was the one guy.
So you're the one.
Yeah. I'm Kurt Thomas along with Mick Strawn. We thank you for joining us on Dream Warrior Review. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can reach us by email at dreamwarriorreview@gmail.com or on Facebook and Twitter at DW Review. See you next time on Dream Warrior Review.